welcome to today's video, guys. I am Jack with Micro Budgeting, and on today we are going to be doing some what I would like to call Budgeting 101. Basically, I want to go ahead and do a series solely based on getting started with budgeting, guys. I know a lot of people more people that I interact with who hear me talk about budgeting in person, they're always very skeptical about budgeting, and they're like, oh, I don't know how to start, I don't know, I don't have the money to start. It's always all these different negatives against starting to budget. And a lot of times people just like, oh, well, I got this going on, and this, so many different things that they got going on to prevent them from just saving. And I, time and time again, say it doesn't take a lot to start. All you have to do is start. And basically, I wanted to take what basically I tell people on a day-to-day basis whenever they're asking me about budgeting, how I do my budgeting and how I go about budgeting. And this is what I want to do for you guys, is just a series based on how to budget. And so what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a good maybe 4-part series, maybe more, but right now I'm focusing on just a 4-part series of basically beginning to budget and the steps you can utilize, and to apply to your budgeting to get yourself on that journey to budget. This is basically what I'm going to be doing on this series. I do plan to have it probably every Friday be released, something that pertains to this series. And I just want to go over on how to start, okay? And so let's go ahead and get right into it, because that is what you're here for, guys. So let's do it. So first and foremost, it does not take a lot to start budgeting. All you have to do is get at it and to roll with it. Just a lot of people just have a fear, and my thing is, like, people tend to not have a relationship with money, and basically you must be willing to build a relationship with your finances to be able to understand what your money is doing for you. And so these are just going to be steps that I'm gonna point out to you guys, and it's whether or not you choose to act upon them. Jot them down and see what you can do to start, where you can start. It's not so much that, okay, well, here's list number 1, jot it down, get that done, taken care of, move on to the next step. No, move on until the point where you get even burned out before you even start saving. Okay, so on this series, I'm going to give you guys basically a homework that you guys can take with you and just start the pen to paper, okay, process of writing it out. We're not even going to go into budgeting yet, and that's why I don't want you guys to get burned out before you have that chance to start budgeting. Let's take that moment. Write out what you have. Take a moment to reflect on what you have. And then we get down to the gritty of each list that we're going to go through. Okay? And so that's what I want to do. I hope this helps you guys to start that process, and that you guys move forward in your own journey to become debt-free, pay off anything that you want to pay off, get rid of things that you no longer want to be in debt for, and then also just keep yourself budgeting. Because as you know, what do creditors love? They love our money. They love that we get credit because it keeps them in business. And if we get rid of our credit, then they can't make their money off of us. So just keep that mindset. Keep your, focus on why you're doing this and why you are taking this journey, taking that leap. And so what I'm going to do is list out some of these things that you can jot down for yourself. And again, all I'm doing is listing these things out for you guys. Then you guys can go and reflect on it. It's not even about, okay, well, now that I wrote it down, now show me how to save money. We're going to take this a slow and steady process. That way you can get to the point where you feel comfortable, feel ready, that you can say, I'm going to start saving. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And so, like I said, you want to build a relationship with your money. Build that relationship. The biggest thing for me was, for the longest time, I had a fear with money. And ultimately, it showed because I didn't have money. Okay? That fear that I had with money caused me to never have money. I was always broke. I was always, paycheck to paycheck. I always just, whatever money I had coming in, more was probably going out than I was bringing in. And that was a big no-no. And that is for anybody. It's just a big no-no. You never want to put more out than what you got coming in. And just keep that in mind, guys, okay? And then with that, I didn't have a relationship with money. And now that I've started this budgeting journey, now that I've started my whole budgeting, relationship with money, I see where my money goes. I see the value in having a relationship with money. And that is where you guys need to get. I mean, I will admit, I was not in a good place to even have money, because my money, I'm telling you guys, was obsoleted by the time it hit my bank. Okay, and there was moments in time that I was going into the negative, and I was like, okay, what do banks give you? What gives you the incentive to keep spending money? Oh, you have that overdraft privilege, right? So you have that privilege of having extra $500, which you don't have, but you can use that money. The bank goes and takes, gives you that, and then you keep yourself in the negative where you are paying the bank to hold your money. And it's not, I'm not sure how, I haven't had an overdraft, knock on wood, in a while, in the longest time, and I'm grateful and thankful for that. But what does that fee? $35 every time you overdraft? And that's if you even with the overdraft, what is it called? I don't even remember what it's called. But you get a limit of what, $500? And you're always in the negative. And the banks love that because you are giving them more money that you don't have. So, build that relationship with your money. Have a secure, confident relationship with money. That is what you need to do to make sure that you can get out of being in debt, get out of the fear that we all have with money, and then you can just build from that, okay? And you start having that trust. You build trust with money, because what is the saying, that money is the root of all evil, is what I've heard. And it has been for many years. It has been for me. It has been a cause of finances, whether in my relationships with people, and it does. It causes tension. It causes anxiety. It causes frustration because, You know, the more it seems like the more you make, the more you have to pay. And I get it. If you're able to, you know, buy those excessive things at a certain point because you make good income, then that's understandable. I mean, but it's best to just have a relationship with your money, okay? And so that is where we're going to go into starting the process of this series, guys, is just building that relationship with your money and learn to trust money and have confidence with your finances. You begin to understand and work with your money, and you will be able to move forward in keeping yourself free from debt, okay? And stop, you know, you don't, now it makes you very self-conscious about the money you spend. I am very self-conscious about my money now. Like, as opposed to 2-3 years ago, I would just be like, okay, I'm in the negative. Oh well, next paycheck will cover what I was over, you know? And so now I have a relationship with my money, with my finances, and so it just helps me to stay focused when I have built that relationship. Because I'm telling you guys, I did not have the best relationship with my finances. And, you know, growing up, you know, my parents, they did everything they could for us. We were a big family of 7. I was the youngest of 7. And you know, they did what they could to provide for us, all of us kids, okay? They worked hard. My father worked hard. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she raised us kids, and which I love that I was able to experience that. I wish I would have given my own children that, because my parents, no matter what they were going through, whether it was money problems, you know, jobs, because my dad was the breadwinner all his life. He took care of his family. He had worked 2 or 3 jobs at points in his life to make sure he provided for his family. And my mom was at home taking care of us kids. And so, but with that, they did not teach us how to handle our money. They didn't you know, they worked hard to make sure that we were taken care of. And they struggled through their whole life, you know, up until the end. My parents struggled to make sure that, you know, that we just survived. And I do owe them a lot, and I will never ever look down on what my parents ever did, as far as with finances, you know. I will never, because it helped me to become very independent and very strong-willed and very so much a go-getter in making sure that I am on the right path for myself. And so with me not able to have that relationship with money, now I'm turning that, and I'm hoping to pass that on to now my kids and to my granddaughter, you know, and my grandkids to come. I want them to have a relationship with money. I want them to say, okay, yeah, I don't have the money for that, but I can work at it. And it doesn't mean you give up on it. You've pushed through, you work hard for it, but you save money, you know, in the end of the day, you save that money. So this is where we're gonna list out a bunch of things that, and maybe you just have a conversation with yourself in this process, you know. I know I've had plenty of conversations with myself about my finances and saying, you know, how many times I wish I would have started this years ago. And, you know, it's always, it's not a good time to start this. It's always you get those negative things out of your head. Don't let that negativity impact what you could do for yourself and start budgeting. You know, get yourself to that point where, you know, you don't have to be afraid of money. You know, and I listen to Dave Ramsey a lot, and one of the biggest key things that he talks about is, you know, the people that were born into wealth, yes, they don't have a problem, you know, but they also don't go crazy and spending money. The minute that us people, regular people, us people that live beyond way below our means, once we get some kind of money in our bank or whatever, we think that we're high rolling at that point, and then we go extravagant when we shouldn't. And so that is one thing that you should always consider, is like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna get my income tax, and I should expect maybe a couple grand, you know. Well, instead of thinking about, let me go buy this, let me go buy that, I'm going to go ahead and turn that around and put it into my savings and make it where I can start paying off those things, those debts, and then also just consider your options with savings, you know. So let's go ahead and start these steps, guys, and I'm gonna list out, you know, quite a few, I'm just gonna go into detail about each step. And so for that, we're going to but keep in mind, guys, I'm only listing out things. I'll talk about them, and then in later videos we will go into each of these to build up into your savings, okay? I hope I'm explaining that right. I feel sometimes I get winded, and then I try to go a little bit too fast, so I'm trying to pace myself so I don't get myself, you know, out of line. So first up first, guys, is to start the whole budgeting is to list out your income. Okay, write out what you make in whether it's monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, or even daily. You know, some people, you know, work, you know, as a waiter, you work for your tips, right? And you get daily income. So, I mean, you're bringing home money each day. So if you are, then look at that. List out your income, okay? And from that, when you list it out, then you'll be able to get a grasp on how much you will be making in that month, right? Yeah, sorry guys. And so from there, that's, I mean, this is going to be your paycheck. This is going to be whether you have a hustle, your business you do on the side, whether you hustle for money, you know, doing Uber, whether you go and do, you know, pizza delivery, all the things that you're doing to bring money in, make sure you write all those incomes. I mean, even for me, like, I have my 8 to 5 full-time, you know, career, but I also have my Etsy. I do have my, you know, other things that I'm doing to hustle for money, to work up becoming debt-free. And that's what I'm doing, is just anytime I can do, even to have a garage sale, guys. If I have a garage sale, I know maybe I might hit between $60 to $80, you know, and I'm glad for that. You know, that is me cleaning out my house to get rid of things that I no longer use, passing it on to somebody who, you know, who will put it to use when I'm not, you know. What is the rule of thumb on that? If you've never touched it within the 2 years that you've had it, get rid of it. So you might as well sell it, you know. And even if you have collector's items, even if you have things that, you know, you could probably sell on Etsy or on eBay or anywhere that will allow you to sell your, you know, your items, find ways to do that, you know, and jot it down. Whatever money you have, say you do go and have a garage sale. That, you know, Friday and Saturday, you make a good $80 to $200 with that. Use that as your income that you're bringing in, but also put that into consideration. You don't spend that money. This is money you're going to be able to put into your savings, okay? So just keep that in mind whenever you're going through your list of all your income. Think of all the things that you have sold. Maybe you even sold a book. You know, everybody's always looking for something specific, and it might be your one item. And if maybe somebody saw your book and you sold it for $5, maybe you sold it for $3. It doesn't, hey, that $3 is going to go into my savings for sure. I will make sure that I put that $3 toward my savings and put it into that in place where I know it will build. Okay? So next up is list out your debt. So you're going to next list out your debt. And this is going to be your homework after this video, guys, is gather all these things, gather a notebook, write a piece of paper, list, and this is going to be the homework for that you're going to be doing for this first video. The next video we will go more into depth with each of these categories, and then from there we will move on into the next video, because this part is just listing it out. Then when you have your homework, we bring it back to the table. We go into detail about each of these items, because I will do the same. As I'm listing these out along with you guys, after this, I will go and write my stuff out to bring to the table with you, and then we go have a discussion about it. And feel free to leave comments, guys. Feel free you with questions. You know, this is what this platform is for. This is what I want. I love doing budgeting. I love doing savings. I love doing YouTube. I will say, I love doing this as my second, you know, job. I will say it is. Because this does take a lot out. I work hard to do the things that I do on my video. There might be days where I've had burnout, and I just feel like sometimes I went through those videos just to get them out, because I do want to make sure I'm saving. But we are going to list this out, and this is the process of doing that. We're going to eliminate the fear you have with money. And so I want to take it nice and easy, and then we move more into the fast and, you know, fun, right? It's just savings. So that's, how does it go? How does Tina Turner say? You know, on the rolling. Rolling through the, what is it? Rolling through the grapevine? I don't remember. Now I'm going to try to sing that song, guys. But so, this is the homework, guys. So we're going to list out your debt. Okay? Out all your debt. Okay? So that's going to be your credit cards. Your outstanding loans. Anything, it's going to be anything that you have to have finance, whether you have furniture financed, whether you have remodels financed, whether you have things that you don't outright own until you pay it off. Okay, those are your list of debts that you're going to put. Okay, and you can have, it doesn't start, you don't have to just write one. Write them all out. That way, you guys, because we tend to not write down everything that our money's going to, and then we think like, oh, it's not that much. When you actually write it out, then you realize how much you do have, and then this is where you learn that you want to get rid of it. Say you have 8 different credit cards. Well, okay, let's start eliminating one by one. You know, and of course that goes into the snowball effect. But list out your debt. List it out. And that way you can see what you have to work with and what you have to as a goal to set for yourself to get rid of that debt, okay? So then next, we're going to go ahead and list our fixed expenses, okay? List out fixed expenses. And I know you're probably wondering, what are fixed expenses? Fixed expenses are usually your utilities, your groceries, your insurance, your gas. Everything that you know you're always going to have to pay toward, okay? We know in order for us to have electricity, we have to pay for that. So that is a fixed expense. It might not always be the same amount because it's not like a subscription, but it is a fixed expense that will always come as long as you have a home to pay for, you know, or a home over your head. If you have 4 walls, you have to make sure you're paying your utilities. Same thing for groceries, guys. I mean, we can't live without groceries. You could put that as a variable, and that could be very well a list of your, and you will list that as a variable, but it is your fixed expense because you have to have that to survive, okay? So it is your utilities, and it is your groceries, okay? So list those things out. Good way to list those fixed expenses is to go down through your bank statement, okay? So what I always say is print out 3 months of bank statements and go through it, okay? And you guys, I mean, some of you haven't seen my video where I do talk about that in my budgeting starter kit that I have. And I have a sheet that is specifically designed for bank statements, and it lists out every category that you have. You print out your bank statement, right, for the past 3 months, and then you write out for each category your bills, your subscriptions, your medical, anything that you know where your money is going, you write it out. And so you list out those fixed expenses, groceries, what else is cool? Insurance, of course. Wait, always pay for insurance. Sorry guys, excuse me. And then of course, if we have a vehicle, we have to pay for our gas. It's just a given, we have to pay for our gas. And because if we don't pay gas, we don't move, right? So that is a fixed expense because we always have to have it. So then the next thing is your variable funds, okay? And variable funds can be the extras, okay? Those are going to be the extra things that you may spend out. And this goes along the way with your bank statements, okay? So it's going to be the restaurants you go out to eat to. It's going to be the shopping you do, whether you go to, you know, sporting goods, whether you go clothes shopping. All those different things are variable funds, okay? The things that about for variable funds is it's not really so much a need, but I mean, whether you feel like treating yourself at a restaurant, go for it. You know, that is a variable expense that you are taking out on your money. But also, I mean, you have to replace, if you need clothes to purchase, you save that money for that, right? So those are just some of the things that you can incorporate into your variable funds. And then you're also going to do your future funds, okay? So these are goals that you want. These are things that, say right now you're not planning to do anything right now with these, but you want to be able to have that future fund. And those come with your sinking funds, right? That becomes your sinking funds part of that. That's where you build your sinking funds. So basically that is say you want to buy a new home, okay, or a new car, or you want to go on an extravagant vacation in the next 2 years. These are your future funds that you anticipate are working toward, you want to work toward. These are things that you want to incorporate, right? And then we also, with that, you want to have a fallback fund, okay? That's what I'm calling it. So that was 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is our fallback fund. And what I mean by fallback fund, it is basically your emergency, okay? This is your emergency fund. This is the oops. This is the, oh crap, I need money for this. That is what your fallback money fund is the unknown funds that you need for just in case, okay? For just in case. And that is something you will work toward. These, not so much variable funds, because that is something you will plan with your cash stuffing, weekly cash stuffing, bi-weekly cash stuffing. It is your variable funds that you're just gonna have to have that money set aside, because it is like, it's almost a need, but it's like, it's allowing you to have that money to do those things, okay? Future funds and fallback fund, those are things that you're going to work toward, okay? And this is something for the fallback fund, is what I like to call a contingency plan. I have no idea why I can't say that, but it is a contingency plan that you have for this. It is a plan of attack, okay? That is what you're gonna do, is a plan of attack in the event that there is something that comes up for that emergency. It's a plan of attack. Have that money for the unknown, okay? And so with that, each category, so from that you'll start with your income, but each of these categories from your income should always be less than what you're bringing your income, okay? So each category should be less than your income, no matter where they fall, okay? Whether there's just a specific amount that you're going to put to each of these categories, your income, you should never be in the negative. Where we want to go with this is on your zero-based budgeting, okay? That means that you put all your money in place of each category that suits your needs, okay? That suits your needs. And you assign each dollar down to the zero, okay? Each dollar down to zero, okay? And so once we do that, then you're going to put this in play. But we're not going to do that right now, guys, because I just wanted to give you an assignment for this. This is your homework, okay? Again. But I also wanted to discuss so this is our zero-based budgeting, and this is the budgeting system that I follow, okay? But I also wanted to give you some insight if whether or not this might not work for you. And I put it wrong, zero-based budgeting. But I also wanted to go ahead and give you some other ideas. And maybe you guys use this as this is your homework, but also you have like extra credit, you know? And the more you read up on these things, the more you learn about these things, you know, Google them. Figure out, okay, what does it mean to have a variable expense versus your fixed expenses, okay? Look those up, because I know I did. I know I was looking up both of those items in Google to make sure I understood what each of those mean, okay? And where I need to put each of the things that I spend money on, where they need to fall in place, okay? But along with those, there are four types of budgeting that you can utilize, okay? And in this as well, I'm going to give you guys these maybe as a means to look into the future whenever we go down, you know, the series. But I wanted to go ahead and give you those 4 things. That way you can determine which budgeting strategies would work best for you. So those 4 different types of budgeting, and they all have one goal in mind, guys, is to make sure that we are saving money that we have as well, income that we have, right? Some of the income. So there is the 50-30-20 rule that you guys may have heard of, may have not heard of, but yes, there is the 50, 30, and 20 rule. So what 50 means, so we have 50, 30, and 20 rule. So 50 means that you are going to be putting 50% of your needs, 50% of your income to your needs, okay? And we won't go into detail right now about each of those things, but I just want you to list them out and read on this, and, you know, maybe, you know, research it for yourself to see if maybe this might be a good way for you to start saving. And then 30% goes to your wants. And then we have 20%. I'm sorry, guys, my cat is so in tuned with my book or my pen. I'm not sure. Look at her. And 20% of it goes into savings, okay? And again, we will go discuss this in the future. I just want you guys to have this ready on the agenda if you guys are following along with me. Okay, so the next one is a 60% solution budget. And so basically that means that you are going to, it's a combination of your wants and your needs and your spend, okay? And so with that, you do 60% of your income, your income okay, so you have your 60% of your income, 10% goes to I wrote it out, guys, and okay, 10% goes to retirement, sorry. Then 10% goes to long-term savings. Okay, and then you have 10 goes to short-term. And then the final 10 goes to your fund. So basically these are where your savings is going toward, okay? So you have 60% of your income goes to basically your combination of your wants and needs. and it's going to probably be more to your needs, right? And then, but it's 60% of your income. So whether or not you have 10% goes to your wants. So basically, if you want to go shopping, go buy that makeup, go buy that, new shoes. That is your want. So 10% of what your income is should only be applied to your wants. Now, this is just me saying it's 10%. It's however you want to set it. As long as you have that 10%, that 60% between your wants and your needs, okay? And your needs are going to be your bills, okay? So more than likely, that will always be your highest. Your needs are going to need to be met because you need to pay your water, and you need to pay your gas, you need to pay for your groceries, you need to pay for your home. All those things are your needs, depending on your income. If you're based on monthly, if you're based on weekly, bi-weekly, 60% of that needs to go to those wants and needs, okay? And then we have the 40 that fall into each of these savings categories. So you got your retirement, long-term, short-term, and 10% go to fun, okay? So then the last one, well, this is the second one, and the third one is reverse budgeting. So reverse budgeting is basically going backwards from what I'm giving you guys. So you set aside for savings first, okay? Set however much savings you want goes first, okay? Say you make $1,000. Well, out of that $1,000, I'm definitely gonna put $300 towards my savings, whether it's in my sinking funds, into my long-term savings, whether it's whatever savings categories whatever savings games, whatever you're doing in savings, that is going to go into, that's first and foremost, okay? And then the rest goes into your essential expenses, okay? So yeah, then the rest goes to expenses, and that could be, again, it's going to reverse. It goes into your bills, it goes into your subscriptions, it goes into your weekly wallet, because you're using that variable expense. It's not so much that you're not saving it. Variable expense means that you're putting money aside to be able to spend, okay, without using all your money. Goes to expenses and essential expenses, okay? Essential, again, is your bills, the things that you need to be able to live, survive, okay? And of course, the last but not least, is the one I follow, and that was basically what I was going through in the beginning, is the zero-based budgeting. And with zero-based budgeting, you basically put every dollar in place in a bucket, no matter where it falls, with zero left to spend, to wander, we want to be able to assign every dollar that we have down to the penny, down. That's why I do a penny challenge, is because I have pennies that I want to assign, because that is down to my last, to zero. That is how we play that, okay? This is a category that everybody uses. And so my suggestion, guys, is read up on these. I will, as time goes on, I will jump more into these, and we will go and discuss these more and more. But these are just other alternatives that you can use to start budgeting. you know, and maybe you find that doing the 60% solution budgeting is the route you want to go, you know. You know that you want to use, okay, so if I have 1,000, 60% of 1,000 is $600. So the $600 needs to go to all my bills, all, you know, my expenses. Whereas the remaining 40%, you break it out into each of those categories, okay? So maybe that is something you think would work better for you to start, okay? But I would suggest you guys read up on each of these things, see what works your way, and then by the time the next video that I do on this subject, you will know exactly which route you want to go. I'm going to follow the zero-based budgeting, and you guys can follow along with that, see how that works for you, and then at that time you can determine between the one that you're more gravitating toward versus the zero-based budgeting, and that is where you decide to take that leap, okay? So that is, we're gonna call this the end of this video, guys. I think I've given you pretty much a lot of information. I hope that it helps. I hope that I've given you some insight, but also I hope that I've explained to it in Latin terms, yeah, that you understand me. You know, sometimes I don't understand myself, but no, guys, really take this into consideration whenever you start that journey, and maybe even finding alternatives to the journey you're on. Maybe you're feeling like you are having a burnout session and you want to try something different. Then look at these things that I've given you and start thinking about, you know, outside the box. Because once we get into a box, and I will say, yes, I'm in a box right now. My box is to be zero-based budgeting. That is the box I'm in, and it works for me. It may not work for me in a year. Maybe I might, you know, change it up next year, you know, but that's the box I'm staying in. And so, but also you have to be able to venture out, because that is one of the things that you can do to break that barrier of fear that you have with money, okay? I tell my team this all the time, because sometimes, you know, you have some team members on your team, whether you're, you know, or if you yourself are a person who does not like change and does not take well to change. But you have to be open to change. You have to be willing to change, because what might work right now might not work next year. What you think might be successful, there might be an alternative way to do things to make it even more successful. And so that is what I tell my team all the time, because, you know, sometimes they're just not into the changes that I might put in place. And so I tell them all the time, it does not hurt to try. It will not affect you in any way. It may cause you anxiety. Don't let it. Give yourself those affirmations. Give yourself like those things that will talk you out of, you know, that negativity, okay? And if it doesn't work, you can always go back to the way things were. You can always go back to the things that worked for you. But it does not hurt to try and step outside of that box to make that change, work the process, and then if it works, it becomes more comfortable. You get used to it. That becomes your new norm. And then you're looking back at, like, why didn't I think about this last year? Why didn't I do it this way last year? I wish I would have done it. Just like I do, you know, since budgeting is like, I wish I would have budgeted 20 years ago, you know? So it does not hurt to try. You try it. If it doesn't work, you can always go back. Okay? You do not want to be stuck in the box all your life and never take that leap. Never know what it feels like to at least fail. You fail, you get up, you do it again, and you may fail 10 times over. But at least never give up. And at least if you're trying, you know that you're fighting for what will help you, okay? So just keep that in mind, guys, when you're listing all these things out, you know, and just take deep breaths. Each category. You're going to write your income, and that's probably going to be the thing that, like, wow, okay, I do make that money. Okay, so now I need to know where I need to put my money, okay? And you're going to, I mean, when I write my income, I'm just like, oh, it's so nice to see my income, you know? But then do not get scared of all the things that come after that, because you do have to list out your debt. You do have to list out your expenses. You do have to list out all those things that take that money away. But that is you breaking that barrier and coming to the realization that it's time for a change. And that makes you become that much more stronger in having a relationship with your money. So do not fret on this. Change is good, guys. It is possible to succeed. And I was not a believer at the beginning when I started this journey. I just thought, oh gosh, really? Put $1 that's all I'm going to put. And I did. For the first, couple of weeks that I started budgeting, I would only put $5 to an envelope. And it was a little, card instruction paper envelope, red and blue, that I made. It's probably in one of my first videos, but it was a red and blue envelope that I even wrote on myself. It wasn't pretty, it was taped, and I put $5 into those categories that I had. And from there, I started building my relationship with money. And then it grew and grew, and then I became more confident with the money, and then I was able to not have fear of, oh my gosh, I'm getting paid and I know my money is going to be gone by the weekend. I don't have that fear because I have a relationship with money. I trust what I do, and then I also trust the money and what I put in into my savings. So use this, guys. Please rewatch this video. Please take it for what it's worth. I hope it helps you guys. I hope it helps you to understand this is your assignment. Okay, let's go through this. And then also just do a little extra work and researching each of these budgeting tools or budgeting types and find one that works for you. We will go more into detail as the series goes along, guys, with each of these. But my biggest thing is to be able to get you guys to write this out and see what your money is doing for you. Okay? So with that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day. I hope you enjoy taking part in this series with me. I'm gonna go ahead and give you much love to you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.